Chaser Report is recorded on Gadigal land.
Striving for mediocrity in a world of excellence. This is the Chaser Report.
Hello and welcome to the Chaser Report podcast with Dom and Charles. I'm Charles Firth, and with me today, always, is Dom Knight.
Dom Knight. I'm Dom Knight. Welcome. Hello. Hi, Charles. It's me, Dom.
So, Dom, I noticed that you've grown hair
It's just
in the right places.
I thought I'd go blonde, Charles. I thought just to mix it up. That's what the people want.
And so, how's your life?
Oh my God, it's amazing. I'm just getting blown in the street every day.
Is that what happens?
That's what happens when you grow blonde hair.
Now, we are supposed to record a podcast right now.
Yep.
Obviously, Dom's not here. We've got Mark instead. I don't have anything to talk about. I mean, all the stuff that's happened in the news is sort of ridiculously depressing.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so I think we should turn to ChatGPT.
Well, I think firstly I'm honoured to be here because you had a choice of replacing Dom with ChatGPT, and even and the technology's just not quite there.
No.
So at the moment,
it's still a little bit too interesting.
Yeah. So once they just iron out some of those pieces, but yes. So in lieu of ChatGPT, I am here, but I'm also here to talk about ChatGPT, and I think maybe we could share our experiences of ChatGPT.
Yes,
because you played around with it, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, God, yeah. It's how most of my content,
most of your business model,
exactly.
So have you asked it to write satirical pieces, or what have you?
Well, actually, I just wrote to it then and asked it, what should I ask my guest on the podcast that I'm recording this afternoon? I need 10 questions. Oh, no. So I was on a different podcast where a similar question was posed to ChatGPT.
Yeah. And it posed a series of hypotheticals, which I'm not very fond of hypotheticals. So I think it was things like, would you rather fight...
right.
Yes. It was like, would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 horses the size of ducks?
We actually have a segment like that on our podcast occasionally called The Ethical Dilemmas of a 9-Year-Old. But they're the one, like, because my kids have always loved those sorts of questions.
Right, yes.
But they come up with their own unique ones. I'll give you Angus's dilemma that he did the other day, which is, would you prefer to have the most excruciating toenail surgery that would last 10 minutes and you're not allowed any anaesthetic, or eat a wart?
Oh, that's genuinely good.
Yeah.
That's really...
I thought it was good enough to bring back the whole segment.
That's very funny.
To answer the question. So what's your answer?
That's good. No, I mean, I'm genuine. I mean, as much as I hate hypotheticals, I'm weirdly charmed by that one.
Well, I kind of feel like AI is never going to give you that question.
No.
No,
we haven't trained
there's a trace of humanity in that question.
Gosh, I mean, I don't know I guess I will have to... Gosh, I suppose. Gosh, that's great.
Because, as Dom pointed out at the time, you don't want to be that guy who ate a wart.
No, that's it.
But
exactly.
then 10 minutes of excruciating pain.
Because at least the pain, that's something that it's sort of something that happened to you. It's not, it was, whereas there's too much, you're too active. You're too much of an active participant in the wart eating. I guess I am inclined to go, but I think he's perfectly framed this.
It's a true dilemma.
Yes, because the wart eating would be over quite quickly, but we have no concept of eating a wart.
But you can't sort of... Well, maybe you can ask ChatGPT what it would be like to eat a wart.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. We have a concept of eating a booger or a scab or something like that, but not a wart. Not a wart.
No.
We don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Do you
want to just take that on notice?
I'll take that on notice, and I'll consult with stakeholders, and
So you've played around with ChatGPT, haven't you?
Well, yes, because I don't know how I came to this, but I just was curious about, because I love the Logies. That's my passion for some reason. And I thought, I wonder what ChatGPT would write if I asked it to write a Logies monologue, what would it come up with? And I was genuinely impressed by much of the material that it came up with. I was fascinated by its awareness of some of the details of the Australian television industry. I thought the tone of it was very much in line with the Logies. And I would argue that, of a couple of jokes that I'm going to read here, I'd argue that some of them are as good, if not better, than what you would hear at the actual Logies. I actually think ChatGPT could be the thing to save the Logies going forward.
Okay.
So I'll read you 3 jokes here from this monologue, and I'll give it a little bit of a Logies delivery. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Logies, the one night where Australia's television industry celebrates itself, and we all pretend that we've actually watched some of the shows nominated. You know, I've been doing some research on the nominees, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed. We've got some of the finest actors, writers, and producers in the world. And then we've got Home and Away. But all joking aside, the Logies are a chance to recognise the hard work and dedication of everyone involved in Australia's television industry. So let's raise a glass to them and to another year of compelling dramas, hilarious comedies, and whatever the hell Gogglebox is supposed to be. Like, that's very insightful.
Yeah, that is insightful. Are you sure I didn't just plagiarise it from...
from previous monologue?
Yeah, from a Rove McManus.
No, yeah. I'm just wondering what it's... I was fascinated to know what it's actually pulling that from, how it's formulating that. Yeah, because like how does it know to have a go at Home and Away? How does it know to have a go at Gogglebox? What's its frame of reference for that?
Well, I mean, I can tell you the scientific.
That's far less interesting. But yes, no, sure.
Well, which is the LLMs, large language models, are based on the breakthrough that realizes that you don't actually have to know where you're heading. And actually humans, it's led to a theory that actually humans probably don't know where they're heading when they start a sentence, right? And so what they have is they have a thin veneer of sort of the rules of grammar, essentially, the semiotics of language, so that they don't talk nonsense, right? So it's just basically a framework of how sentences and meaning is constructed, which is fairly easy to build. And then they, look at trillions of pages of content, and the way it works is it doesn't think ahead. It doesn't go, a large language model doesn't go, I'm starting the next sentence with therefore, and I know where it's heading. They instead go, okay, therefore is the first word, and then it goes, well, what is the next most probable word in this sentence, given what I'm talking about, across the span of 1 trillion pages? And for ages, these large language models were stuck, right? Because they'd go, okay, well, we should put out the most probable word. And the breakthrough came, it was only a couple of years ago, that somebody had the breakthrough to go, actually, if you make it too probabilistic, like if you actually just go for the most probable word each time, it sounds a bit like autocorrect or something like that. It actually becomes very repetitious very quickly, and it's incredibly boring. But if you actually dial down the predictability to about 80%, so 1 in every 4 words that you say is actually something that's not as predictable. You're not picking the most predictable thing. You're dialing it down, you're being slightly unpredictable in what, so it knows there's a range of words that you possibly could put out there, and it picks from, what is a bit predictable, some of the time definitely the one that's most predicted, but some of the time not predicted. And that's how it creates that thing. So, it comes up with a semiotic framework that says, there's lots of really good shows and blah, 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 blah. It creates that sentence. And then it's looking for the end of that gag, and it comes up with the end of that gag in the same way that you or I would if we're just extemporising a joke, which is you sort of go, well, what's a shitty show on TV? I don't know, Home and Away. And And that style of joke has been made enough in the trillions of pages that are on the web that it's been trained with that it's a different, like as you do as a comedian, you take the same form and you insert new noun into it or new proper noun into it. And there you go. So
And you, because I feel like you got onto this quite early. I feel like it was even
we got leaked. Well, we got given this early access like several years ago.
Yeah,
it would have been like 2020.
That was my memory of it. That it was a while back. Yeah.
Might have even been 2019, which was it was called GPT-3 at that point. So it wasn't a chatbot. It was this really weird thing. But we got into trouble because the person who gave us that login said, "Now you're not allowed to publish it anywhere, right? Like it's strictly confidential." And so I immediately did a podcast episode about it, and then they found out the GPT people found out about it and pulled his license, like his access to it.
God.
So I sort of fucked him up for a while. But it was a lot of fun. And even then we were getting scared, weren't we?
Yes. Well, that's the thing, because it does. I think we always acted on the assumption that, well, it'll never learn creativity. It'll never,
And in fact, it's the opposite. Like what you realise is actually the job of cleaning toilets is safe and serving food is safe. What is going to be wiped out by AI is things like painting and writing.
God. I mean,
and we will just be serving the machines as they live a life of creativity.
I saw I think it was a tweet or something the other day, which was great. Which is, I think the gist of it was like, can we get some of these AIs to take plastic out of the ocean, or do they all have to be screenwriters?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, no, I thought there was a while where I was sort of smugly going around, well, we're safe.
But I think it is true. Like you look at, like I try and get it to write things for me, and you always go, like those gags that you gave about the Logies, you go, yeah, they're all right, but like they're not.
Yeah, but but you got to go. I'm using the current Logies as a sort of benchmark, and I'd say that's pretty good. So compared to what we've had over the last 20 years, those jokes are solid. You wouldn't be surprised to hear those jokes. And so that was what was sort of alarming. It's just like, oh well, why would you even pay someone to write anything? Because if that's the level, that's fine. Like that's disturbing. I mean, that said, there are 3 other jokes in there that I didn't read out, which were just sort of nonsense. So it's not a perfect strike rate, but there's enough gold in the pan. So.
None of the medical advice contained in the Chaser Report should legally be considered medical advice. The Chaser Report.
It sounds like you're a cyber. Are you a cyber optimist or a cyber pessimist?
Well, it's funny you should ask, because this week I'm actually hosting the inaugural Cybersecurity Awards in Canberra. So I'm having to become very familiar with the world of cyber.
Yeah, wow.
That's it. So I'm frantically. And look, it may well end up being that I go, you know what, ChatGPT, I need some jokes about cyber. What have you got? Of course. I might as well ask. Might as well see what it's got to say.
Well, I'm gonna ask, ask it now? Right now. Tell us 5 jokes about cybersecurity. Security for a conference in Canberra.
This is very specific.
Australia. Okay, here we go.
I'm now terrified that they're going to be better than the jokes I've already prepared.
No, they'll be definitely not. Why did the cybersecurity expert bring a ladder to work?
Why?
Because they heard the servers had high security and they wanted to climb over it.
Interesting. Next.
Oh, this is...
This
is reassuring.
It is reassuring.
But these are very depressing jokes. What's a hacker's favourite type of footwear?
What is a hacker's favourite type of footwear?
Sneakers.
Golly, wow, okay.
Why did the Scarecrow become a cybersecurity analyst?
I don't know. Why did the Scarecrow become a cybersecurity analyst?
Because it was outstanding in its field.
Extraordinary. Yeah. How many have we got left?
How did you might be able to repurpose this one.
Okay.
How did the computer respond when it was told a joke about cybersecurity?
How did the computer respond when it was told a joke about cybersecurity? I don't know.
It laughed. Then it's more. It laughed. That would be funny. That's a funny joke. But no, it laughed, then promptly encrypted itself just to be safe. That's
Sure.
terrible. Why did the programmer get kicked out of the grocery store? They kept scanning everything as password 123 instead of using the actual barcodes.
Okay, well, I think my job is safe for this week. I've got another week.
I think partly the interpretation of jokes being a 1-2
yes, as opposed to a sort of
funny line
monologue or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's all right. No, that's very
reassuring.
they're very
Yeah.
reassuring. I can breathe a sigh of relief.
Maybe the cybersecurity people have hacked into ChatGPT
Oh,
to prevent you from
me from-
using it.
That's it.
That's what's happened.
They're a wake up to me. They knew that I would. They knew this guy had no cyber material.
Okay, I've just asked it. I think I might. Oh, by the way, Mark, it just ends with remember to adapt the jokes to the specific audience and setting,
Oh, it tells you that.
injecting some local humour or references related to Canberra or Australia to make them even more relatable and enjoyable for the conference attendees.
So hang on, that's telling us to do that.
Yeah.
That's got some nerve. Where that's its job.
I know. So,
Oh, yes.
You know what Canberra
Yes.
is.
Remember to make the jokes good. Oh, thank you, ChatGPT.
Okay, I'm going to get you to read out this comedy monologue that's
Okay.
created, and then we can leave. You can go away after this. But I've just asked, write a comedy monologue about cybersecurity. Ladies and gentlemen, we're very pleased today. Here we are in Canberra to have with us joking japester Mark Humphries from ABC's 7:30 program, who is going to give us a bit of a lowdown on cybersecurity. Over to you, Mark.
Thank you, Charles. Ladies and gentlemen, gather round, because today we're diving into the wild world of cyber security. Now, I know what you're thinking. Cybersecurity, comedy, are those two even compatible? Well, hold on to your firewalls, folks, because I'm about to prove that laughter and online safety can go hand in hand. Let me start by saying that cybersecurity is no laughing matter. It's a serious business. But you know what they say, if you can't laugh about it, you might as well unplug and live in a cave. So here we go.
This is very heartening. Yeah.
Have you ever noticed how complicated some passwords are? I mean, seriously, it's like we're trying to crack the Da Vinci Code just to access our bank accounts. Must contain one uppercase letter, one lowercase letter, a number, a symbol, a hieroglyph, and a unicorn secret handshake. I'm telling you, if remembering passwords was an Olympic sport, we'd all be gold medalists in forgetfulness. But seriously. And then we have those security questions, you know, the ones designed to prove that you are, in fact, you. What's your mother's maiden name? What was the name of your first pet? What's the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? Who comes up with these questions? Are we supposed to carry around a pocket-sized biography just in case we forget who we are? But, you know, it's not just about... I'm adding the you-knows. It's not just about passwords and security questions. We also have those dreaded captures. You know, those squiggly lines and blurry images we're supposed to decipher to prove we're not robots. I don't know about you, but I've failed those things more times than I'd like to admit. Sometimes I wonder if the only reason they exist is to secretly mock us. You want to access this website? Sure, but only if you can identify the picture of a traffic light in this grainy photo taken on a rainy day. But you know...
That is a joke told specifically from ChatGPT's own perspective. Like, these captures are really hard.
And that's not... Well, actually, what I am finding slightly unnerving is that there are references here to things that I have already written. I haven't written these exact jokes, but I did have a reference to a traffic light in my current notes, so I'm now thinking twice about it. And let's not forget about phishing emails. They're like the scam artists of the digital world. They show up in your inbox pretending to be your long-lost cousin from a remote island, offering you a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to claim your inheritance. Yeah, right. If I had $1 for every phishing email I received, I'd have enough money to buy the entire internet and secure it with a giant padlock. But, you know, despite But despite all the challenges, cybersecurity is essential in our interconnected world. So let's give a round of applause to those cybersecurity experts who spend their days warding off digital threats and keeping us safe. They're the unsung heroes of the internet, the guardians of our virtual lives, and the reason we can still sleep at night knowing our data is, hopefully, protected. So the next time you're struggling with a password or deciphering a captcha, just remember you're not alone. We're all in this together, navigating the digital maze and laughing in the face of cyber threats. And if all else fails, just remember to unplug, take a deep breath, and enjoy some good old-fashioned offline humour. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, stay secure, stay funny, and stay connected, but only to the right networks. Me. It got very earnest towards the end there.
Yeah. Got really sort of heartfelt.
That's it. You know, folks, we've had a lot of fun here tonight.
Let's just get serious about
There's
cybersecurity.
nothing funny about cybersecurity.
I dare you. I dare you to do that, Mark.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to perform a comedic monologue about cybersecurity, but let me just say, there's nothing funny. Here's what you can do. That was extraordinary. There was one line that was all right. I can't remember what it was, but something to do with... No, I can't remember what it was, but maybe I've imagined it. Maybe it made me think of a different joke. But I'm fascinated by its understanding of rhythms and...
well, that had all the rhythm without any of the content.
Yes.
That was... Well, it was a bit like a computer or an alien seeing a monologue, not understanding any of the actual content, but actually just getting the cadence right.
Yes. That's fascinating. I've seen an actual human do that.
Is there a comedian who'd be able to make that funny, like those lines funny?
I think maybe like if you were someone like a Stephen Wright or something, if you had there might be like a deadpan delivery or something that could just, if you just stripped all the sort of emotion and character out of it, there might be some weirdly absurd way. I think there probably is a way. I think like Norm Macdonald. There was a brilliant monologue he did once for one of those Comedy Central roasts, and he just read out jokes from a joke book, and it was hysterical because it was all just Cloris Leachman is here. They say you're over the hill. Not in the car you drive. And he would just hold it. And he would just sort of stare down the audience. It's like, John Stamos is here, and they say he's got a lot on his mind. Yeah, a hat. There is a way to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
You got to go sort of anti-comedy though.
Well, I dare you.
I bet you do. You won't be there. You won't have to face that audience.
Do you promise?
Do I promise to read that out?
Yeah.
Send that to me and I will see if I can do something with that.
Okay.
All right. Can we leave it there?
Yes, let's definitely leave it there. Well, there you go. I promise next time you tune in, Dom will be back.
It'll be actual proper content, not just reading out things that robots have written. That's all right.
But thank you so much for coming in and covering for Dom these last few days.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. And I hope he's all right, but he's obviously undergoing. Is it some sort of serious? It's quite a serious.
Look, I assume so, but I don't really.
You don't really care about
him,
no,
so
I don't.
I never like when he, it's like, something about it. Funeral or something.
You hear the word hospital and you just go, I don't need to know, mate.
Nah.
Just who's filling in.
Yeah.
That's
Our gear is from Roe. We're part of the Iconoclast Network. Catch you whenever. Catch you later.
You did that on every single recording.